Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. I am Carolyn Chang, and the mission of Awake to Oneness Radio is to inspire the world to awaken to the universal truth of oneness. Science is teaching us that all life is interconnected and interdependent, that we are all one. And ancient wisdom and spirituality has been teaching us this truth for eons. What you do to another person, you are literally doing to another aspect of yourself. And when mankind awakens to the universal truth of oneness, there will be peace on earth. Today's show topic is The World is My Country with Arthur Kanegis. Arthur is the producer of the wonderful film, The World is My Country. And I met Arthur producing a show for Humanities Team. I work very closely with Humanities Team. I am Steve Farrell's assistant, the Worldwide Executive Director. And that's how I came to meet Arthur. Arthur, welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio.
Well, it's such a thrill to be here because, you know, my whole life mission is awakening to oneness.
Yes.
So it's beautiful to be here because that's exactly what our movie is about. Our movie is really a key tool to help millions of people awake to oneness.
Very, very true. So now, Arthur, like I said, I met you months ago producing a program for Humanities Team, and I've had some conversations with you, and I'm familiar with the film. So I know who you are. And I know what your mission is about. But can you please share with my listeners who you are and what your mission is all about?
When I was 3 years old, I said to my dad, "Daddy, why don't they take all the guns, melt them down, and turn them into doorknobs?"
Very good. Mm-hmm.
And ever since, my life mission actually has been, how do we find a way to open the doors to peace? How do we find a way to open the doors to peace? Now, unfortunately, my mom, who was a wonderful spiritual teacher, passed away when I was 4.5. But she left me her writings, and what she said in one of her little writings is, this was written in 1943, "Seek not to contest with evil, lest ye be taken by the spirit of contention. Mm-hmm. Rather, concern yourself with goodness. For in goodness," oh, wait, it's the leavening that makes the whole loaf rise. Now, wait a minute. I just told you the quote from my dad, not my mom. And the reason why my dad was on my mind, let me tell you why. Today, July 21st, is my dad's birthday. It's also my daughter's birthday.
Wow.
So he's on my mind. So I was going to quote my mom, and I quoted my dad. And actually, that's very appropriate. My dad had these little cards printed up in the 1940s that said, "Seek not to contest with evil, lest ye be taken by the spirit of contention. Rather, concern yourself with goodness, for in goodness is the leavening that makes the whole loaf rise." And that's what my daughter's kind of doing there, working at the American Friends Service Committee in Washington. She's working on this shared security project where you light that fire of oneness, of how we share, how I'm making me more secure can make you more secure. Now, how do we kill you to get secure? How do we make you more secure so I'll be more secure? So yes. This is what she's doing, and we have lovely grandkids. You'll actually see my grandkid in the movie, and wonderful part of life. So anyway, getting back to the story, my mother's quote that I was also going to give you is, she wrote, and this was in 1943, "I am a conscious individual manifestation of eternal being, endowed with the current and nature of my Father, Mother, God. This guarantees my well-being at all times."
Oh, wow. That's
I'm
beautiful.
A radiant manifestation of life, love, and power. Life is the essence. Love is the nature. And power is what moves me.
Wow, that is so beautiful. She was so ahead of her time. Yes, that is so beautiful. Yes, and what your father's quote reminds me of, you can't fight evil with evil. You can only, and I don't even like to use the word fight, because fight is push against, and the universe is inclusive of everything. So when you push against something, you get more of it. So instead of pushing against it, you embrace it with love. So
you do what Bucky Fuller said, you know, you don't fight the old order, you just create something so much better, so much more wonderful that everybody gravitates toward it. And again, that's what our movie is about.
yes, 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 yes. So continue sharing
Well, maybe
who
we should
you are.
start.
Okay.
Why don't we start by giving you a little glimpse of how Martin Sheen introduces our movie, and then I can tell you about how I met Gary and why this is so important in my life. Do you want to start with a little clip from Sheen?
Sure. Sure. I will start with that. So I will share that with everyone right now. Okay.
And while you're doing that, I'll just say that Martin was such a joy to work with. Here you go. Let's get the sound on.
Here's Gary Davis. World citizen number one, Gary Davis. Gary Davis.
Now, your picture's still there. You need to put the full screen on the movie.
Oh, it is. Can you hear it?
Yes.
Okay. I do have it in full screen.
He was an actor, a song and dance man who leapt off the Broadway stage onto the world stage in 1948, taking on cops, border guards, armies, and whole nations, showing us that we don't have to be awed by their props of power and control. For 65 years, as a citizen of no nation, only the world, Gary Davis made his own props of freedom, demonstrating that we, the people, can tear down the walls of oppression and write our own story. We can build a world that is constructive for all and destructive to none. A world in which all of us can truly say, the world is my country.
Awesome, really awesome film. And I did have the pleasure of viewing the whole film. It's an amazing film. Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you. And I'll tell you what attracted me to Gary's story. You know, my whole life, as I said, I want to open the doors to peace. And his story is really about that awakening to oneness. It's a joyous story. I mean, he starts out, he's the least likely fellow to, to save the world. All he wanted to do was make people laugh. He was the class clown. He became a comedian. He stood in for Danny Kaye on Broadway. This is the 1940s. He was the big comedy star with his double talk numbers and his song and dance on Broadway. And he got 13 curtain calls. He was on his way to a Broadway career. Boom.
Wow.
World War II comes along, and he's in a bomber plane bombing the city of Brandenburg. And his own brother is killed, and his heart is broken. And why am I killing other people, their sons and their families, because they're on the wrong side of some invisible line that I can't even see from the air? You know, this is crazy. You know,
Yes,
this
yes.
isn't Hitler, this is the people. So
Right.
he comes back from the war. He tries to get into another show, big show on Broadway, one of the top shows, and he reads a book. He can't get this out of his mind. The book's called Anatomy of Peace. And he suddenly gets an amazing awakening. Humanity has already invented a way to eliminate war.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding? Well, inside countries, we don't fight wars. You know, Nevada doesn't fight a war with Texas or with California. They have a dispute. We take it to court. Law stops war. And he realized that outside of countries, there's no law. You can kill people and get a medal for it. You can blow up whole cities. He said, why wasn't I arrested for bombing these cities? Why weren't the people who killed my brother arrested? Because there's no law. So he says, okay. He sees the Hiroshima footage after the war. He sees how, my God, one bomb can blow up a whole city. What if I'm asked to go blow up Moscow? I have to do something. But what? I'm just an actor. I didn't go to law school. And finally he comes up with a brilliant idea. He goes to Paris. And the United Nations in 1948, its General Assembly is meeting in Paris, because it hasn't been built yet in New York. And he leaps up in the middle of the session in this grand act of political theater, and he says, the nations you represent divide us and lead us to the brink of total war. He says, we need one government for one world. And he calls on them to hold elections for a government of, by, and for the people of the world. He calls on them to recognize our oneness.
Right.
Well, the delegates, amazingly, you see this in the footage of this, they actually start applauding him. he's hauled away because it's not legal to interrupt the UN. And you know, in the story, we had this amazing story of he had all these wonderful supporters, Albert Camus, Sartre, and one of the fellows, Pierre Bourget, talks about spending a night in jail with Albert Camus, a future Nobel Prize winner. Anyway, It's an amazing story, but the key part is that what happens is this little act of courage, one man's act of courage, galvanizes war-weary Europe. And 20,000 people rally with him at the Velodrome. You saw the crowds in the movie, the huge crowds, and there were supporting rallies around the world. And the very next day, the Soviet Union, which had been adamantly blocking Eleanor Roosevelt's proposal for a universal declaration of human rights, they step aside and it's passed unanimously. For the first time, the entire world recognizes that everybody in the world has human rights. This is amazing. Now, that document could be the key to beginning to build the world law. That's what Eleanor Roosevelt wanted it to be. So what happened when these 20,000 people rallied, 5 days later, Eleanor Roosevelt wrote in her column called My Day that goes out to people all over the world. She talked about Gary interrupting the UN, kind of jostled him for that, you know, but she said, you know, the UN can't really make peace. We weren't set up to do that. We're just set up to be a place where the nations can get together and chat and talk about things and, you know, let off steam instead of fighting wars. But she said this amazing quote, a bombshell. She said, how much better it would be if Mr. Davis would start then and there a worldwide international government. She asked him to do it. Now he's floored. In the movie, you see him say, "Who, me? I'm supposed to do it. The UN can't. You know, this is crazy." And he says, "I'm going to go to Germany and rebuild the destruction of my bomb squad." I had to get stuck on the border. They won't let him in one country, won't let him in the other. It goes on and on. But the key point is that finally later, he undergoes a spiritual transformation. The kind of thing you're talking about in your show. And in his own internal quest to oneness, he suddenly gets the courage to do what Eleanor Roosevelt said. And what happens, he goes to see a top lawyer. He says, how do I create a government for the world? And, you know, the lawyer says, well, you know, actually, if you look at it, the Constitution, the Ninth and 10th Amendments basically say, the Ninth Amendment says that all rights not specifically delegated in this Constitution are reserved either to the states or reserved to the people. Right. And the very same people who wrote in the Declaration of Independence, some of the same people signed both. Right. It is the right of people to institute new government. Mm-hmm. Well, my God, if it's the right of the people to institute new government, and if we're people, why don't we do it? So, as you see in the movie, Gary, you know, he gets up there in the steps of the courthouse in Maine, and he declares a government of, by, and for the people of the world. It's crazy, but I did it. And then he doesn't stop there. He goes down to Washington. You see him driving down to Washington and setting up an office that puts out world passports, world IDs, world documents. And they've been doing this for all those years since 1954. And, and in fact, here's the world passport. Here's the, you see it. It's got the machine-readable code and everything. In our movie, you see them at one of the borders, sliding it through and looking at it. And passing the password. So, you know, if you look on the website, on our website, it gives you a link where you can see that almost every country, over 90% of the nations on the earth, have stamped that at least once. But doesn't mean that they always observe it. It depends on who the border guard is. One can reject you, the other can hold you up, like we saw with Yasin Bey, where they detained him. One can give you a hard time, and another one can say, hey, where can I get one of those? So, really, it's arbitrary. But anyway, the whole point is, to me, the importance of the world passport is not the document. It's a symbol of the fact that we are one. It's something you can feel and hold that connects you with humanity as a whole. It's part of our awakening to oneness. I am a world citizen.
Yes. I am definitely going to get a world citizen passport, because I agree. So I resonate with that so fully. And I know, and I'm also thinking, you said the world passport was introduced in 54, before I was born. And but also the world changed drastically after 9/11. So
Right.
I know that, like you said, if you really want to travel, you need more than just your world passport.
After 9/11, it got much harder to use this, and there are many cases where people get detained. In fact, we say right in our film, you can get harassed, you can get detained. But the World Service Authority does have an office with legal interns and so on who go to the bat for people who have it detained or have it, or who get it revoked. And many people, get through with them. The same conference, Gary went to India 5 times with it. Prime Minister Nehru first personally endorsed it. One of the times he was rejected, sent back. But somebody else going to the very same conference at the same time used the world passport and got in. So, it's all very arbitrary. But the key thing is it's a chance. Well, I always present my U.S. passport first, and then I say, hey, can you do me a favor and stamp this one too? And we've had stamps from various places doing it that way. But I don't personally want to. Gary had the courage. He wanted to show that one person can live outside and above the nation-state system. One person can live in oneness. And he didn't want everybody to do that. He said, you can be concentric. You can be a citizen of your city, your state, your country, the world. You don't give up the lower level. But he wanted, as one person, to give that up and live as only a citizen of the world. And he offered himself to the United Nations as their first citizen.
Yes.
Of course, they didn't accept it. The Russian ambassador said, states may join diapered citizens yet.
Yes, but yes, I loved all you sharing Gary's story, because like you said, he went in within and tapped into that strength to take up what Eleanor Roosevelt asked him to do. First he's like, who, little me? But then when he tapped inside, which we all have that, I like to share that on this show, that we all have that ability to tap within and to share what we think is the impossible. Because the word impossible is I am possible. I'm hearing a little bit of feedback. I'm just gonna, give me a second. I just want to make sure I turn off this video, because I think it's coming from the video.
Oh yeah, not the video. Well, I love that. I am possible. That's actually the thing that most attracted me to Gary's story, is that he knew it was possible. I mean, who am I to declare a government for the world? Well, why not? And so the thing about it is that what is so empowering and what makes it possible right now, it seems like we're in a mess in this world. It looks like we're in a world of politics gone mad, and we can get all wrapped up in it. What was the latest this one did? What was the latest that one did? Gary gives us an incredible secret how we can rise above all that. He says that the greatest secret, we'll give it away here on your show, but we can't always give it away. The greatest secret is that we don't have to beg and plead our government leaders to make peace. Why not? Because they can't do it. They're on the wrong civic level. They're down here in the nation-state system. They can't make their allegiance to the world as a whole. It wouldn't matter if you elected a saint. I mean, even someone like Obama, who said, I'm a world citizen, who said the most beautiful words, he was caught up in the system that made him do some of the same horrible things that we're seeing today. Terrible, lots of the wall along the border with Mexico, lots of sending people to kill people in drones, all this stuff, not because that's what he believed in his heart, because that's the system he was locked into. Now what happens when we take the freedom to break out of that system, and you don't have to break out, you don't have to do anything to it, you just leave it, you rise above it, and we the people get together and create a new way to govern our world. We do what the Thomas Jefferson all did, but in a modern era with this incredible tool, the internet, we create something so powerful. And what Gary said, he said some things that sound shocking. He said, we don't need to be stuck in these old horse and buggy ideas of things like majority rule, of like representative democracy, of like even voting. Voting, you could take my vote away? But what happens, he's giving us something much more powerful. What he's saying is we don't need to send a representative to meet in a distant room. We can all be the governors of our planet interactively together, bringing out the highest and best wisdom of each individual. Now you say, now, isn't that going to be mob rule? They've got more people than we do. They're all going to vote against us. Well, they're not going to vote. What you're going to do is you're going to have a new system where people meet in small groups. I call this integrity, just like your audience. All the people on Zoom can be a part of this. And you come together and you try to ascertain what every constitution in the world and what the Universal Declaration of Human Rights says, which is the will of the people shall be the basis of the authority of government. Now, what is my will? Is my will to have Tweedledee or Tweedledum elected? No. My will is to have a better life for my kids, to feel secure, to have better purpose. Now, when I get in a chat room on Zoom with an Arab and an Israeli and Chinese and somebody and a Muslim and people who are part of the radical, a person who's done terrorist things, and we get in a room with that person and we find out what is his will. His will is really to do something to each person, is to serve their community, to do something that helps people, to do what they feel is spiritually right, to do something. And what happens is when you start interactively discussing, you start coming to a better consensus. I mean, there's some incredible films out there. There's one about Arabs and Israeli students who are all at odds with each other, arguing at NYU, and then Katrina comes along, and they all get on a bus to help the victim of Katrina, and they say, "Oh my God, you're my best friend. How did I know? Why did I know what a wonderful person you are?" Because they're working together toward a goal. Anyway, when you structure a new system, that the old system is win-lose democracy. My side wins, you lose, and then, oh my God, half the people lost, a little more than half won, or whatever. We're all divided. It brings out the worst in people. In this new system, this new interactive integrity system, synergy, it's you know what synergy is?
Yes.
Synergy is when you have a group of people and they all come in, if they get a consensus, we all agree on the same idea. But synergy is even better. Something better than the sum of the whole is even better than the sum of the parts. Something new and creative, better that we never even thought of, comes out of that beautiful interaction. That's synergy, and synergy with integrity, because we're standing up for the planet. We're standing up for all of us. Synergy with integrity is the highest power that can bring out the highest and best wisdom of humanity. So this is not, and so now, isn't it far more powerful than voting for Tweedledee or Tweedledum to be able to express all the things you really want to need in an interactive way and come to conclusions that help create power? And then your interactive group is interacting with others and taking that and amalgamating it into the highest and best wisdom of humanity.
So true. That is so true. When Donald Trump was elected, it didn't actually, within, I had a sense of joy. And I did not vote for Donald Trump. I voted for Bernie. Love Bernie.
Right.
Vote him in. I love Bernie. But when I don't watch news. So the next day after the election, I didn't know who won. It was my 7-year-old, I teach piano lesson. That afternoon, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, my 7-year-old piano student came in with a sad face. I'm like, "What's wrong?" He's like, "Oh, Donald Trump won the election." And I'm like, "No worries. Don't worry. It's all good. It's all good." Because our power is within. Our power is not in the White House, just like Gary was demonstrating back in the 50s and the 60s. It's not in the White House. It's not in any one person. Our power is within us. So we can't hand over that power, so we
Right.
have the ability, we have the power to change. If we collect it, like you said, everybody on the planet truly at their core wants the same thing. We all want peace. We all want health. We all want security for our family. You ask 7.5 billion people on the planet,
Right.
they're going to say the same thing.
And you know what people want? People want to help others. I think there are more people suffering because they can have wonderful talents and skills they want to give, but they're not able to give them. They're not able to get it out. I think
Right.
people want to give. They want to help others. They want a way and an avenue. When we start creating the interactive tools that give them a way to channel that giving that everybody has, oh my God, watch out, world! The world's going to get so beautiful. And you know what? When we're interactively doing this, let me tell you what's happening in the old economy and what can happen in the new. In the old economy, first of all, again, it's based on this concept of scarcity, and what that does, and that the only way to motivate people is to make them have to work to do stuff. No, people want to do good stuff. Take a look at YouTube. People are putting up all these free movies, doing all this work. Nobody's paying them to do it. They want to express themselves. They want to create. All over, people want to create.
Yes. So
we don't need an economy that lets them do that, gives them the power to do it. Now, in the old system, it used to be, in 1776, is put a vote in a wooden box and send somebody off by horse and buggy to represent you. It was a great advance over the monarchy. But back then, in the early days, they chartered corporations, companies, to be under government, and they're supposed to serve them. And if they didn't serve them, they could revoke the charter. Well, what happened, because we the people are locked in these boxes called nation states, the companies were able to move multinationally. And they said, well, if you stop our pollution, we'll move to this other country that'll let us pollute. If you stop us exploiting the workers, we'll move to that country that'll let us exploit the workers. And so suddenly we say, oh, okay, yes, corporations, and all. And look, what we're doing, you talk about giving our power. We're giving our power to 538 guys in Washington. Do you realize what we're doing? When you give a multi-trillion-dollar budget to 538 guys, what's every one of those companies going to say? The CEO says, oh my God, I would love to retool and make my product environmentally sound. And that'll cost me $1 billion. We could do it, but for only $1 million, I can have an office in Washington, lobby these 538 guys, and I won't have to do it. Well, eventually I want to get to that good stuff, but for now, I have to take this route. I'll get completely out of business. I'll lose my job. So I put the money into buying Congress. And all these guys are buying Congress. And some people want to try to force the corporations back under. You're not going to do it. We, the people, have to move to the top. We just have to step out of the box of nation-state systems, step to the top, and realize, folks, this is our world. We're hiring these guys. These fools are working for us. We don't have to do it anymore. Well, we could. Let them do it. We're not going to fight them. We're not going to overthrow them. We're not going to stop them. We're just going to create something so wonderful and powerful that they're going to get attracted to it. And what's going to happen when you do that? That same company that was acting bad is actually, you're the customers. They're going to, so like, okay, let's just give you a little example.
Yeah, exactly. We vote, we vote with our dollars. You're absolutely right.
All right.
Yes.
So let's say that we the people get together and through the highest and best wisdom, we pass this Clean Air Act, that we have certain standards for the whole world for cleanliness. And we ask companies to do that. And there's a particular company that's, doing terrible pollution. And we, the court of buying for the people issues an injunction to them to cease and desist, and we'll come negotiate. Well, let's talk about how we can make something that works for you and the community and the people around you, and so you can make your products and everybody can get needs can be met, and you don't have to pollute the air. Well, many companies will do that. Another one may say, screw you. I'm just going to keep doing it the way I'm doing it. I don't care what you say. So then what happens is when people take their phone and they go to the grocery store and they scan an app, oh, this thing's made by that company, or this is made by someone who's supplying that company. You go to apply for a job, oh, this person's got a red star there, an X. We don't want to apply for jobs there. They don't respect their workers. So people who are violators of world law suddenly find they're losing company, they're losing business, they're losing customers, they're losing suppliers, they're losing employees. And you know what that same company does? They start this big ad campaign. They shift their strategy. We're the leaders in supporting world law. We've always been for it. Come buy our products. We'll put our green stamp on a thing, and they go along with it. Because they're not bad people. They're wonderful people. In fact, for the most part, they're all kinds of people. But what I'm saying is they're in a broken system that makes them do bad things. And if they're in a system that makes it more profitable, more fun, more enjoyable to do the good things, they do the good things. It's not rocket science, folks. It's very easy. Right. You can do it with your dog, training him on the beach. You can be cruel and mean to him, or you can give him a treat when he does good things. We can do it. We can do it, people. Yeah,
a very, very easy example of that is, those that are consciously awake and know how unhealthy GMO foods are, stop buying them. If nobody's buying GMO foods, they're going to stop making it. It's that we have that power collectively. Start buying more organic. You buy more organic, and more of us buying organic, all that junk is going to just fade away, because they can't, if they're not making money off the junk, they're not going to make the jump anymore.
Right.
You
Now,
know?
so here's a clue to that. We have people all over the world doing all that good work, but what happens is there needs to be a slight mental shift that needs to happen, a little paradigm shift. And what happens is when you're in the old paradigm and you're thinking, okay, you know, we're just little us doing this, but, you know, the government, they're the ones with all the power and everything. Then you feel like, well, you're doing a little insignificant things, you can't do that much. But when you make that shift to realizing that we're global citizens, we're world citizens, and that we are not the governed, we're the governors of our small planet. When you make that shift, then suddenly something happens. It suddenly becomes so much more easy. Suddenly you feel this great freedom, because it's not the sovereignty of the individual, Gary says. Not like everybody can do anything they want and screw you everybody else. That's not peace, right. That's anarchy. But it's like the sovereignty of the whole. When we come and are part of that sovereignty with this whole of humanity, we have amazing power. And we can create the shifts we need to really go exactly what you said, to awake to oneness. You know, this oneness is our power.
Yes. So true. So true. When we know who we are, which we are each a divine spark of God, that is who we are. So we are sovereign, and we, in truth, unknowingly put ourselves in this box. You know, we build the cage. You know, and
right.
we think, oh, we can't move out of this cage, but it's a cage of our own creation. So it's right. Exactly what you said. It's that paradigm shift within, when you know, right. Okay, I'm not a victim of this reality. I am the creator of this reality, and I can step out of this box, and I can let what's in, like what you said, what's natural is we want to give. We want to love. That's our natural nature. And when we're allowed to just live and love and be who we are, which is going to be that divine unique, because we each are unique pieces of God. We each unique pieces of the divine. And when we bring that to the whole, it's going to be an amazing world. You know,
it is an amazing world. And you know, the incredible thing about it is that when we the people do that interactive thing, that old scarcity thing breaks down, because you know, you say, well, okay, if everybody in the world can have all they want, aren't we going to run out of resources? Can't the world not support that? No, it's actually better, because what happens is, for instance, you know, the little phone we have and stuff, that's replacing so many little things we can do online that replaced huge amounts of paperwork. You know, a whole office full of paper can be replaced by this little tiny phone. That's less resources being used. That when we are conscious, when we come together as a planet, we can solve these problems so there can be abundance for everyone, and actually be doing it in an ecological, balanced way. We already know how to do this. It's not rocket science. We just need the will to do it, and we need how to create it. And we can actually move from this scarcity and this breakdowns and this war and all this stuff to an amazing society where we achieve what humanity set out, what's in our purpose. When we wake to oneness, we have true power.
Yes, and it's so true. And like you said about that scarcity mindset comes with that old paradigm that I'm in this cage and I'm a victim. But when you awaken to who you truly are, you understand that we're all abundant. We're limitless. We are powerful. We are limitless, and when you step out onto your own power, you see the abundance all around. And like you said, I just became vegan a week ago, and in becoming vegan, I've cut my grocery bill in half. So I'm spending less money, not more.
And eating better. And
healthier and so I don't have to worry about the doctor, and so I won't have to spend money on doctor bills, because I'm living healthier. I'm spending less money. So everything green and natural in alignment with nature is actually less money. It's less expensive.
Right. Well, and so, you know, that is so joyous. I love what you're saying. And, you know, the key thing is for us to see stories like this movie, stories that enrich us and that move us to that new kind of paradigm, moves that to awakening. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have a way that people can after the show, if they want to sign up for our email list by going to theworldismycountry.com, and they can click to join the list, we're going to send them not immediately because we're getting it already, but at one point we're going to give them a special window, a week, where they can use where they can get a special way, use a special code that they're going to get to watch this film for free, and that'll be just one special week that's going to be coming up, and if they're on the mailing list, they'll find out when that is and how they can do it, and how they can be part of that special thing. But we're going to do that so they get a chance to learn about this as a tool and decide if it's something they want to use in their communities to reach out and touch others and to help others to make that click in their mind from separation to that awakening to the oneness.
Exactly. That's actually how I started my show, this show, over 2 years ago. I was inspired, and like I said, with the beauty of the internet, I was able to, for very little money a month, to start my own webcast and then share it with the world. Like you said, that's what when you awake to the truth of who you are, you want to share it. You want to share this truth. And so I just said, okay, I had no idea what a podcast was when I started it. I just Googled, okay, how do I do an internet radio show? That's all. I got in the middle of the night, at 1:30 in the morning. Like, okay, how do I start an internet? And I found Blog Talk Radio. It's very inexpensive, and it's just something that I'm doing from my heart and sharing with the world. And that's what we each will do when we awaken. We all have something unique to bring. Like you have the film to bring, and I have, this show to share. So it's a wonderful, wonderful time we're living in, because the shift, the paradigm shift is moving quicker. But go ahead. Yeah.
Well, you're my sister, because I do the same thing in the early morning. I wake up in the wee hours of the morning with brilliant ideas spinning what to do with, and like I woke up the other night thinking, I really ought to do a TED talk on this, TEDx, these TEDx. Well, how can I do that? And I got I just Googled, how do you do a TED talk? I don't know.
That's exactly Google. You gotta love Google.
By the way, think about this. Think about Google. Yes. I mean, if somebody had said, 50 years ago or something, said, there's going to be a way where instead of all these huge libraries, instead of having to go to a distant city to go to this big library, look stuff up, you're going to be able to write a question and surf through all the information in the world, and you're going to get the answer before you hardly finish writing the question. People say, oh my God, are you crazy? You're a dreamer. This is so impossible. And yet we've done that. Now, hey, if we can do that with Google, why not do that with the way we run our planet? Why not bring to the top the highest and best wisdom of the planet? Why not from all those different groups that are bringing out people's best ideas on how to solve things and interactively putting those best ideas of what works and what works into a thing? When somebody else wakes up in the night and they say, hey, what will work to stop this pollution that's being dumped in my river right here that's stinking up my bed, or that's causing this, whatever this problem is being in my area, I can get on and find out how to do it. And I find out all the wisdom of the best people in the world, what they're doing, how they're doing it. So in other words, governing becomes something different. What Gary says in our movies, does world government scare you? He said, well, it does me if it's the same old forces of power and money controlling our world, and they're going to govern us. Well, we're already too much governed by all that.
Right.
So when we realize that we are the governors, then we suddenly create what Gary calls a people-powered planet. This vision of a world where we interactively are creating our own destiny, and we can do it. And it's easier. It's easier than the old form of government. I'll tell you why.
Yes, tell me.
All right, take an example. Say you have a city that's got terrible, snarled up traffic problems. And you say, okay, we're the commissars. We're gonna put do not enter here and one way here and this, and we're gonna have cops. We're gonna arrest people going the wrong way. We're gonna give them tickets, and we're gonna make them go on the right traffic pattern that'll make it better. You try and get a lot of people arrested. Then you create an app, GPS, and everybody in the world says, oh, well, if I get off the highway now and I get back on over here, I'm actually going to get there faster because we got the quickest way. Well, you don't have to do it. You can stay there in the traffic jam if you want. Nobody makes you do it. Exactly. But you say, well, I want to make this choice. I'm getting the right information. And then you add something like Waze, where people say, oh, there's a pothole here. I'll report it and let everybody else know. Everybody knows, oh, there's a pothole coming up in the road. In other words, somehow in this interactive system, we take all that complexity and we make it something simple and so much more powerful.
Yes. So
there's
true.
There's a science called cybernetics. It's the science of how you organize the complexity into something simple. And I consider that. I mean, I consider that we have an app that we're going on. You know, if you see in a movie, Gary's idea, the Smart Gov app, and we're interactively governing our world. And it's not something that's hard. It's
right.
something that's so much more easy because it's like Gary said back in his day. This was before the internet was invented. He said, world government can be like the International Postal Union. You don't care who heads the International Postal Union. You just care that your letter gets from here to somebody over there in India. Well, that's a world government system. That's a governing thing for the whole world, where you can send a package to anybody in the world. But it's not over us. Or take ICANN. I see but it regulates the websites so that nobody has the same website.
Right.
That's a little nonprofit organization. Whether some small percent of every internet site you set up goes for that fee, and that regulates. It's a worldwide regulating body. But again, it's not a government over us. It's a service. It's a service.
Right.
And that's what Gary says. Government is a service that serves us all, and that interactive government is government of, by, and for the people, serving us all.
Exactly. That's exactly what government was supposed to be set up as, a service to the people, not a controlling force to the people. So that is
and with the control part is that you can't hurt others. In other words, like Gary said, there's no law outside in the world. You can go bomb and kill a whole country and get a medal for it. It's not illegal. Well, that has to be illegal. We have to outlaw war. The Universal Declaration, we have to outlaw oppressing people, and we have to outlaw, you can't mistreat women and abuse kids and do all these other things. There's certain things that are outlawed. So yes, that is control, but the control isn't control. It isn't something that suffocates us. It's something that liberates us to do what we want, as long as we're not hurting other people.
Exactly. And as we awaken, when you awaken, that is actually when we make that paradigm shift, hurting others is not even in the game plan. It just, that whole hurting others, because when you awaken to the truth of oneness, like I say in the introduction of this show, when you understand that you and that person are literally, I'm not talking just figuratively or sounding good, you and that other are literally connected, and what you do to that other, you're literally doing to yourself. And when you understand that, not from a mind intellectual level, but from a heartfelt level, you never want to hurt another person. You don't even want to kill an ant, because you know that everything is connected.
And when you understand that, then you understand that violence and anger and hurting others comes out because that person is hurt. That's a person who's broken. That's a person who needs help. And you don't have to go out. I developed this other program. Once we do this movie, if it's a success, I want to make this thing. But we have these futuristic, I call them astrocops, peace engineers of the 21st century. But we have futuristic peace engineer healers that went to a trouble spot where something was happening, and their goal isn't, kill the bad guy, find out who the bad guys are, and kill them. The goal is, how do we heal this situation? And so they had all these technologies that. A lot of fun technologies for kids and stuff, where, for instance, if somebody was, having post-traumatic stress syndrome, and they were holding somebody hostage because they're flashing back to this terrible scars they had when they were younger, and there's things like rapid eye movement therapy can snap somebody out of a post-traumatic stress syndrome. So you have this little holographic thing that's projecting this fun, distracting image, and you're finding all these ways to not kill the bad guys, but distract, deflect, stop the violence, heal them. Everything, even the tickle laser that stimulates the skin so they fall down in spasms of laughter, and then to disarm them, and then you can talk about how to solve a problem and help heal them. But you're healers. You're not. This whole idea that we get security by killing others. Well, in fact, the whole basic myth that killing bad guys solves problems is a myth. I mean, think about it. This is a story we've been telling ourselves, It's a story we tell over and over again, movie after movie. We say, here's this wonderful, nice person minding their own business, the heroine, whatever, distress, whatever. Suddenly some bad guy comes in, the bully is doing horrible things. The hero comes along, tries to reason with the bad guy, can't do it, finally uses superior firepower, blows the bad guy away, and he and the maiden ride off into the sunset. And the maiden can be, whether it's the people of Iraq who are being bullied by Saddam Hussein, so we're going to rescue him, and we're going to go in there and blow away the bad guys, and then we end up destroying their whole country doing it. It didn't quite work. We end up creating the same monster we were trying to fight because we put all that money and firepower into fighting the evil. It doesn't work. That whole myth. Who do you know who killed the bad guys and lived happily ever after? It only happens in movies and stories. It's not a reality, folks. This isn't real. It doesn't actually happen. And we're all believing that myth, and we have government leaders believing it, and they're running around the world doing that, blowing away bad guys, thinking that somehow that's going to solve their problem. And then they're surprised when every time they blow up bad guys, there's more bad guys. When they blow up those bad guys, there's more bad guys. And we start saying, oh my God, are we, as our country toast? Are we getting all these people around the world hating us? What are we going to do about it? Well, it's because we're planting the seeds. The war on terror isn't a war on terror, it's a war for terror. It's the war on terror that's creating all this terrorism, folks. It's the war on drugs that's creating all these drug problems. Once we awake to oneness, once we realize that we need to heal, not to kill bad guys, not to kill drug smugglers, we need to heal. When we heal, all those problems vaporize, and we can have incredible power to build a better world.
This is so true. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was saying, when a person treats me unkindly, I actually give them more love and attention. This is me, because it's like the same thing. If I stub my toe, if I hurt my toe, I'm going to give that toe more, I'm going to soak it. I'm going to massage it. I'm going to give it more attention because it's hurting. So if someone is acting unkindly, they're hurting. It's internalized. That's an aspect of you hurting. So you want to give it more love because yes.
I love that so much.
Yes.
I mean, that's exactly right. Why do we have pain in our body? It's to give us a signal that something needs to be fixed. Why do we have pain in our society? It's to give us a signal something needs to be fixed. So come on, folks, let's heal it. Let's fix it. Let's not blow it up. Let's not fill it up with chemotherapy, radiation. We're going to kill it all. Let's just find a way to heal it, heal it, rise. And, I think what you said is beautiful. We developed a program. I developed a program called Bully Proof. What we did is I was working with some other people, and we took all the different books on conflict resolution and so on, and we tried to synergize it into 10 key principles that could be used by kids, by others, to overcome the problem of bullying. And it's along the lines of what you said, where you're basically healing that pain, not destroying it. And what it is 10 animal characters and that give people the empowering tools to have a conflict in better ways than violence. And if you go to bullyproof.com, or bullyproof.org, you'll see it. And this is something we've done with gang kids, people in prisons, and so on, and it's very empowering. Would you like to know what the 10 bullyproof steps are?
Yes, I would. Yes, please.
Well, the first one is brave bust out bear. And bust out bear teaches us how to bust out a conflict, how to come at it another way. If somebody's coming at you, if you start arguing back, you're feeding the tension. You step aside and come back another way. You maybe use humor, just take a step away from it, and then you find another way to come back later. So brave bust out bear. Then there's understanding unicorn. And understanding unicorn teaches us how to understand, our hot buttons. Why is what this person's doing making me so angry? Well, it relates back to this. Why am I making him so angry? You understand the situation. Then there's listening lynx, who understands there's more power in listening than in lashing out. Many times when somebody's angry, all they want is somebody to let them vent, hear them out, let them know you're hearing what they're saying. Then there's loving lion, and loving lion looks for the good in the other guy. With our puppet show, we say, even if it's just an eeny, weeny, teeny bit of good, speak to the good in them. Don't say, good son of a bitch, why did you do that? Say, I know you're better than that. I know you could really do better than that. You're more capable, and speak to that good in them. So that's B-U-L-L-O, and Y is yin yang yak, and yin yang yak tells us how to balance opposites, how to understand the opportunity in crisis, how to use our male and female parts together, yin yang yak. So that's bully. And then proof is picturing porpoise. Visualize what you want. Picture that we've worked this out and we're getting along great. And then there's respectful raven. If you respect others, they'll respect you. There's PR. There's proof. There's overseeing owl, who teaches us how to oversee, to rise above the situation. Down here at this level, there's no solution. But if we rise up to a higher side, if we draw on our spiritual powers, if we look down from, look at what silly things we're doing from above, we suddenly realize, hey, there's ways out of this, folks. We can handle it. So then that's overseeing owl, and then there's originating otter, who originates win-win solutions.
Okay.
This dam is letting us get fish. We're gonna build this little dam. We're gonna catch our fish, whatever we have to do. But originating otter, originate a win-win solution, and then
Right.
fearless fox. Fearless fox, the final letter in bully-proof, teaches us that we know that fear attracts attack. Now our bully-proof shield can turn it back. So when we have that shield inside, we don't need that fear.
I love that. I love that. And how can people find that for children?
They go to bullyproof.org or bullyproof.com, and they can sign up there. And then also, I think the creative response creative response to conflict has built that into a curriculum that people can use in the schools and so on, and use those bullyproof principles. And the fun part of it is, like, as I said, we did it with kids in prison, and these kids said, we always believed that myth we've been told, that either we were going to be bullied the rest of our life, or we were going to stand up and fight and blow away the bad guys. We thought it was only fight or flight, two choices.
Right.
And if those are the two choices, well, we chose fight, because otherwise we're going to be picked on the rest of our life if we're always trying to flight. It doesn't work.
Right.
Well, they said, if we realized that there weren't just two choices, there were all 10 of these wonderful other choices, we wouldn't be here in prison in the first place. We would have found a better way to do this. So people need that information, and that's what we're hoping that our movie, our bullyproof, or other things will give people that empowering information, so they can truly awake to oneness and to the power they do have within.
That is so true. And we, as you were talking before about the violence in our society as a whole, we start feeding these babies with these cartoons. Have you looked at cartoons lately?
Some of them are atrocious. Yeah.
We're feeding this to our babies. Our babies are being brought up with these violent video games. I mean, the good guy versus the evil, and this is being taught to our children at a very, very young age. And so when we really wake up and decide, okay, we don't want to feed this to our babies anymore, Yes.
Right. You're so right. It's so important what we feed our babies, and that's what's feeding the whole society. So we do need to awake to that oneness, and as parents, we have a beautiful responsibility to raise kids to be the guiding light of this new world. And there's so many kids that are awakening to oneness in such amazing ways that it's a real inspiration to see the kids. So you're absolutely right.
What's so beautiful about the children, though, is that a lot of children that are coming in and being born today are half awake already, and they're more awake than the adults, and so they have to kind of like wake up the adults. But
exactly.
The shift is definitely empowering. Now, please.
And part of the shift, by the way, is what's here on my hat. It says. It says, world citizen, the world is my country. And when we start realizing that, that the world is our country, and when we start claiming that identity as world citizens, that's when we get this much more relaxed feeling. We don't have to be panicking about things going down the tube, because we have a clear clue of how to do it. And, we don't know for sure that it's going to work. I mean, maybe the forces of evil are going to succeed, but I think we're going to win, because I think we've got this power in us, and I think all that old breakdown of the old order is part of what happens. I mean, when do breakthroughs happen? When do we see incredible advances? They usually happen in the midst of breakdown. I mean, even the Universal Declaration of Human Rights came out of that horrible, horrible thing that Hitler was doing with burning people in concentration camps and all this stuff, and the world said, enough, we've got to do this, we've got to come together. That's why there was this fervor for that idea after World War II, because people had experienced that pain. So I'm not saying we should have pain, but as you said, pain is an indicator of something needs healing, and hopefully, two things can happen when you have that pain. You can heal it, you can put the love into it, or you can die. I mean, that may happen. But it's always worth putting that love in, because then there's a chance we'll live. And if we don't, there isn't a chance. So let's take a chance on life, folks. It's certainly more fun than the other way.
Yes. Now, please share with our listeners how they can get a world passport.
Well,
share.
when they go to our website, theworldismycountry.com, they'll find a link there to it. We also have a futurewave.org, but start with just theworldismycountry.com. And that gives you links to all the different places where they can get world passports, where the IDs and other things, and where they can begin this process of joining with others to build a better world. So sign up for the mailing list there, and you'll find out, because there's much more coming. You know, we're just getting started. We're just starting the whole plan on this, and they can get in on the ground floor and join us in building a better world.
Yes, I definitely, I've had a passport now for, I had to renew it, because I think you have to renew it every, 10 years? Yes. So my first passport from 2005 to 2015 had no stamps. I had to renew it in 2015, so I renewed it at the end of 2015, and I have 3 stamps. So I feel
it's worth your money.
I feel good about it, but I definitely want to, when I'm traveling, I want to have both. When I get my world passport, I'm actually going to present that first, just to get a reaction.
If you present it first, it can give you more of a hassle. It's actually, if you don't want to have a hassle, and if you want to have a hassle, you want to stand up, that's fine. I respect and admire that. But if you don't want a hassle, present the national one first. Because then if you present the other one, they can't say you tried to present the travel document. They can't arrest you. You know, you just ask them very nicely, you know, I'm also a world citizen. I'd love it if you'd also stamp this. Well, all they can do is either say no or yes.
Yes.
They can't detain you for that, or anything. You've already presented your U.S. passport.
Right.
So, on the other hand, if you want to be like Gary and have the courage, he didn't care if he went to jail. He loved it. Great place to proselytize and talk to me about world citizenship. And you know, he was in 34 jails, and not before he had the world passport. First, he was trying to travel with no documents, saying, you know, we don't need no stinking documents. Well, that didn't work. That didn't really go over. Right. Once he had the world passport, he didn't actually get arrested after that, except where he really tried to. He would try to get arrested. He had this situation where there was this conscious objector in France who was arrested, and he was trying to break into the prison to get arrested too. And there were all these cartoons in France. He had all these supporters. There was a trial because he was doing the reverse. He was trying to get into prison, not out. See, the great thing about Gary is he was an actor and he was a comedian. Right. And so while he did all this stuff in dead seriousness, because the very life of the planet's at stake, he also did it with a sense of humor and fun. And that's why I think his story is so much fun, and why his book started out with the name "The World Is My Country," and then it was changed to "My Country Is the World." But the current one, "My Country Is the World," is his book, which you can also, when you get on our website and get on the mailing list, to learn how to get that as well.
Okay.
It's fun. We have to do it all in fun. That's the great part.
Now share how this connection, your passion, and how your connection brought you to the Gary Davis story. How did that all start?
You know, as I said, I've been working on a lifelong mission in this area. I produced a film with Paul Newman called "War Without Winners." It was about the whole nuclear arms race and the standoff between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. And I also, and this we played widely on we had a campaign where we bought time in one city, and Paul Newman came on the movie, gave a pitch to raise the money to show it in the next city, and we got this out around the world, and then we got it on a lot of the PBS networks and so on. But then I had a wonderful opportunity to be the researcher on the film the day after. Now, I don't know if you saw it, but many people saw this film where actually 100 million people tuned into it. It was a film in which Jason Robards you saw the missiles take off over Kansas, and Jason Robards was in the ruins of a nuclear war. It was kind of a visceral look at where we're heading toward. Mm-hmm. And my job as the researcher was to find out what would be the bomb damage effects, different distances from the epicenter. If the bomb hits here, what's the damage going to look like here? What's it going to look like here, here, here? And I began to get nuclear war nightmares. You know, you'd wake up and usually you wake up from a bad dream and you say, well, it was just a bad dream. There's not really monsters under the bed. But there really were monsters under the bed. I mean, there were monsters everywhere. You know, in 20 minutes, we could all be blown up, disintegrated. Yes. And I found it was a much deeper fear than fear of my own life. I die, my family goes on. My family dies, society goes on. But all art, all music, all cultural history, the whole human experience, all flushed down to all the animals, the wonderful dogs and cats, all blown up for some insane, crazy reason. You know, this was a deep primordial fear. And I found that fear was starting to be debilitating. Instead of empowering, it was making me feel less powerful. And then I was meditating in Quaker meeting. And as I was meditating, I began to remember a song that we sang in as kids growing up in Friends meeting. It goes, "There's an ocean of darkness, and I drowned in the night, till I came through the darkness to the ocean of light. And the light is forever, and the light makes us free. I will dwell in the glory of the light," said he. "Walk in the light wherever you may be. Walk in the light wherever you may be." And I realized that there is simultaneously, there is a real ocean of darkness. And when you start looking into it, as bad as you thought it was, it's really worse, folks. And if you thought that was bad, it's even worse than that. And if you see this next documentary, you'll find out it's even worse than that. This other documentary, and oh my God, you thought that was bad. It is really horrible, folks. And you can drown in that sea of darkness. And it's all absolutely, well, mostly it's absolutely true. I mean, there is that sea of darkness. And at the same time, simultaneously, there are people, you know, loving their kids, giving in their communities, going out in Rotary meetings around the world, helping their people across the nation, or going out all over the world, helping others. There are people loving and caring. There's plants growing. There's nature, flowers blooming. There's a literal ocean of light, folks, an ocean of it. And you know what? We make a conscious choice. Are we going to dwell in that ocean of darkness or dwell in that ocean of light? And I decided I want to make that conscious choice. I want to choose to dwell in that ocean of light. I mean, you know, say we dwell in that ocean of light and the force of darkness when the world blows up. Well, there'll be no one to say, "I told you so." And I don't think that'll happen. I think that if we dwell in that ocean of light, we will persevere. And you know why? Let me tell you something. You don't have to. Light, you know what happens? Light keeps shining. Darkness can obstruct it, but the light's forever. The light never ends. As soon as the darkness stops obstructing it, that light is shining light years, billions of light years away. We're seeing stars all that distance. That light goes forever. And yes, something can obstruct it, but all we have to do is let the obstructions erase, and the light is already there. We don't have to make the light. We don't have to force the light. We don't have to put power into the light. The light is there. We just have to awaken to it.
Yes. And we are, in truth, we are that light.
Exactly.
That's who we are at our core, is that light. So when we wake up to the truth of who we are, which is the divine spark of God, that's what we each are. And when we wake up to that truth, then it does overshadow that. You know, light will take care of the dark. Yes.
Exactly. We tune into that inner light, and out of that inner light comes that brilliance that shines out to the world.
Yes. And that's what we want. That's what you want to do with your films. And what I want to do with this show is to inspire everybody to go within and shine that light. Mm-hmm. So we can all, that is what we're all here to do. Well, share with my listeners again how they can find you, how they can follow your work. Okay.
Well, go to www.theworldismycountry.com, and that's the main one for the world is my country. There's also, if you go to the site, Future Wave is the name of our organization, and that has a link to Bullyproof and to some of the other things I've talked about as well. So that's, you know, the world is my country is just one project of film. The Future Wave is kind of our overall organization, which is just a small organization. You know, it's us basically, but we this is something where you can go and find out about some of these creative concepts and then join us. There's also a Facebook page, there's Twitter, but if you go to The World Is My Country, you'll find the handle for Facebook or Twitter, all those things at theworldismycountry.com.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And yes, I'd like to share with you and my listeners, like I said, I started this show, this podcast, over 2 years ago, Awake to Oneness, and I told you in the middle of the night, I'm Googling, how do I start a internet radio show? But also Spirit inspired me this year to do a little bit more and host live events. So from that inspiration, I'm co-founded an organization called Universal Oneness Alliance. It's 4 nonprofit organizations that have come together. Universal, it's Awake to Oneness Radio, Universal Unity, Awaken Our Truth, and Metasouls. So these are 4 different nonprofit organizations that are forming Universal Oneness Alliance, and we are hosting our first event in September in Victoria, Canada. And the wonderful thing about this event is if you can't make it to Victoria, it will be live streamed. So to find out more about that, just go to oneness.alliance.org.
Wonderful. Maybe you'd like to show our movie there.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
And if people would like to show their movie to other groups and stuff, go ahead and sign up, and we'll let you know when we can. Eventually, we're going to have a little screening kit they can get, and it'll have the DVD and the flyers, brochures, sample ways to put up posters, how to have home community meetings. They'll have all that. But right now, it's not all developed yet. They just sign up on the website, and they'll be among the first to know.
Well, I'll email you and let me know when it's ready.
Yeah, well, the film's ready. I know. The film is done.
Right.
But the thing that we're still setting up is having all these ancillary products, the speeding kits. Well, we're already about to put on the T-shirts. Are about to be online. We're starting our shopping cart now, and you're about to be able to do these things. But we're putting together all the follow-up structure so you can all be a part of it, so we can build this into a movement.
Awesome.
Right now, it's a one awesome film, but pretty soon it's also going to be the kernel of a movement.
Yes.
So come in on the ground floor, folks.
Awesome. Very good thing. Thank you, Arthur. This has been so wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on and being my guest and just sharing all this beautiful wisdom.
Well, you're a beautiful spirit, and it's a joy to be here with you. It was one of the most fun hours we've spent.
Oh, awesome. Very, very good. Well, thank you again.
Okay.
And enjoy your father's birthday and your daughter's birthday. Are you doing anything special?
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, she's in Santa Fe right now, and we got her tickets to a really fun, go with the kids and all that, to a really fun thing they want to do. Anyway, there's a lot of fun things. So yeah.
Awesome, very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Aura and Leon. Happy birthday to you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure, such a pleasure, and we will stay in touch, you and I. Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.